Hey, Mighty Pals, chances are you have a lot of information in your business. You have projects, maybe you have launches, you're working on blog posts, social media, and how do you keep all that stuff straight in your head? And if you got my email today, you know that I'm still in planning mode for the year because we still have 300 days left to go. So it's always okay to be planning as long as then we're still doing. And it helps me to do the things when I have the plan. I work backwards. Like when am I going to have a course? When am I going to run something live? Oh, somebody's got an event going on. And then I can make sure that I have the content, the emails, the blog posts, the videos that go along with that. Well, that's a lot to keep straight in our head. The good news is there's a lot of different tools out there for project management, task management, info or data management. They all have different names. And I feel like over the years, I've probably used a lot or most of them, or at least I've tried them. So, what am I talking about? Things like Trello, Asana, Teamwork, Monday, Miro, Notion. And look, I was and sort of still am a Trello fangirl. I think there's a lot of great things that Trello can do. I used it for many years, like going back to 2014, so 10 years. But somewhere in the last couple of years, my Trello boards were gathering digital dust. They became more of a library rather than an active to-do list, which that's fine. They could work for that. They still have a lot of my affiliate links or links to my favorite resources in them, but it wasn't working how my brain was now to get things organized and to actually take action on things. And that's something that I tell people when they ask me which tools should I use for storing this information and for project planning. And the answer is, well, it kind of has to fit your brain, and it has to fit your brain as it is right now, and that may change. Well, then the next question is, well, how do I figure out what fits my brain? Trial and error, basically, but also a little bit of knowing like how you work best. Do you need to see things laid out visually? Do you need it in a calendar view? Do you need it in a timeline? I joke like I've got the post-it notes and I'm both digital and paper based, but I need to see maybe the entire year. Like I need a calendar view so I can see, oh, okay, this is when that butts up against something else. Like, oh, I'm gonna be gone for a month. Or, oh, I got this family event. Or, oh, yeah, don't schedule a live because that's that's the opening of baseball season. Or, oh, that's somebody's wedding or whatever it is, that you need to see how things work. And so there are certain tools that are maybe more text, certain tools that are maybe more visual, other tools let you sort things better. And I think that comes down to the differences between some of those big project tools that are really popular right now, like an Asana or a Trello, ClickUp, Airtable, or Notion, and how they can sort things out. And the other question I have for you, and the thing you have to try this out, is how easy is it for you to get into that tool? Is it something where you're sitting there going, oh my God, I have to watch 5 more videos and read the help files and take a course before I could even figure out how to use this tool, versus can you just get started with it? So that's what I'm doing today. I'm just giving you a really brief peek inside of me using Notion so you can see inside of some of the options of what it can do. This isn't a how to use Notion. I may or may not have that later on. Drop a note in the comments if you're watching this live or on replay with your questions about Notion. What do you want to know if it can do? What do you wish it could do? And that may be something that I'm creating with an upcoming workshop on ways we can use it. And I say that knowing there are folks out there that are much more powerful users of Notion than I am, because they can create a dashboard for their life or their business. That's one of the powers of Notion. You can sort of nest things in there together. So I'm going to give you a peek inside of Notion very briefly, just looking at some of the ways that I'm using it, some of the ways that you could use it. So here we are inside of Notion. Now, this is one of, or you can see over here, there's a whole bunch of potential pages. But the great thing is that Notion basically starts off with text. It opens up a page and I can just sort of start typing. The power comes in, well, I can then view what I'm looking at or what I'm inputting in different ways. So this plans and projects started off as just text. It's a list. And it started off with these. These are just, bullets. I just started typing. I'm like, okay, here's some affiliate opportunities. These are sort of the big rocks that I'm planning. Something that's going to go around in April, something that's going to come in October. But then, over here, this isn't just a list of stuff. This is an actual checklist. That's an option. In fact, if I want to say, let's see, if I want to add something new to this, I can hit this little do button, and then you can see there's a to-do list, there's bullets. I could add a table, I could toggle a list, I could change what I want to put in here. And as I'm going through it, I'm checking things off. I'm like, cool. Oh, look, this thing is underlined. Okay, what does that mean? It means this is linked to another page. It goes deeper inside of my instance of Notion. So, in fact, it pops over here to something that is like, oh my God, what's that? It's a table. And the cool thing is that, so I think I'm not even sure whether I copied this or I started from a template. This is my website and these are pages. And I'm listing, well, let's see, when did I publish it? When do I need to update it? And you can see these are little drop downs. Yes, no, yes, no. When did I refresh it or when do I need to refresh it? What lead magnet is connected to it? And because my brain works best in color coding, I can color code those things. But the really cool thing is I've got that linked to this other longer list of tasks. I'm like, well, that's cool, but it's that visual part again. I need to see if these are the projects that I have going on, which ones are overlapping, which ones are butting up against each other. Well, the cool thing is I could add this timeline view inside of that big giant list. I can have all of this in there together. So, and I can even open it as a calendar. Whoop, it wants to open it as my Google Calendar. Well, I could do that if I wanted to. But this one, as a timeline, as opposed to specifically calendar, this lets me do things like I can open it up and say, well, is this been started yet or not started yet? What type of tasks? So I created these and I gave them colors and I said, these are the types of tasks that they are. And I could add another property. I could add additional comments. I could I could drop in an image. I could drop in a link. Any of that stuff is down here. If I said I wanted to add a property, it's like, well, what kind? Well, I could give it a date. I could assign it to a person. Like if I was working on this with a VA, files and media. I could say, well, this was the last time that we worked on this, and all of these other connections. So that's one thing that's helping me. But that isn't where I started with Notion. This is where I've gotten to with Notion after like a year, because I just kept using it more and more, and I learned as I went. And I'm like, you know what? Now all the things are going into Notion instead of in a Word document, instead of in a Google Sheet, instead of in all of those things, at once. So we're going to go over here and I'm going to go to the page where I am most often. And while it says social media, it's sort of my giant content calendar. And if I wanted to, I could show you that this is showing me the most recent month. I could click all the way back because it's got more than a year's worth of information in here. But you can also see these are the ways that I could view it. I could see, I could tell it, sort it by platform. So it would show me everything that I've written on Instagram. It would show me everything that I had created or scheduled for Facebook or any of the other tools. I could say, no, show it to me by the type of content that is this stuff that's designed to help me build awareness and start conversations? Is this about educating and giving tips and tutorials? educating my audience about what it is that I do. Is it something that's designed to tell them take an action? So I can see, oh, do I have a good mix of these types of things? And then the cool one is often use this. This is where I might start. So you can see when it says February, that's February a year ago. And all of these green things tell me, oh, those were all posted. This is when they posted it. And that's why this shows up in the calendar view. And I could choose, what platform is it going to be on? Again, all of this color coding. I can write my captions and my posts in here. I can indicate if I'm using a particular, visual. This and having this laid out the way it was so very intentionally is what helped me be truly consistent for a long period of time with my content, and not to be sporadic or ghosting, and to be very intentional, to be very strategic. This formed the basis of my mighty content creation system, which, I now sell basically a version of this to my community. But you can see if I scroll all the way down, we're still in September. We still haven't even made it to 2024. So there's a lot of stuff in here. What I was trying to get to is that somewhere down in here, I also have, come on, there's a whole bunch of stuff that should be, where is it? There they are. I've also gotten these, this is all content ideas, prompts, potential posts that I've thought of, and I've sorted it by content type and where it may be best to go. And they're kind of waiting for me to go and use them. And so I can just drag and drop them up into the calendar, or I can give them a date that I'm designing to publish them, and then boop, they'll show up on the calendar, and I can see, oh, I accidentally added 3 things in the same day, or I've got 5 things in one week and nothing for the next week. So I go back and forth, and I can toggle back and forth in between the views. And I think it helps to figure out, oh, what information do I need and what do I want to do with it, to know how do we start putting it in and what properties. But the other cool thing is I didn't create this from scratch. That would have been really intimidating. Instead, there are these templates. Notion has tons and tons of templates. There's a variety of them and a variety of ways to look at viewing your data, your projects, your content. And again, this is all within inside of, I'm using Notion totally for free. So there are, under, work, I could go down here in marketing, and, there's a social media calendar and a basic content calendar that I probably picked one of those templates to begin with. And it had the databasey things already built and created, and I just needed to tweak it to fit what I'm doing, my system. So you can do that, and you can say, oh, well, I don't need to assign this to another person because it's just me. Or maybe I do need to assign it to a person because I have a virtual assistant. I have a VA working with me. If you want to look at it sort of more Trello style, here we have something that's an idea, it's in progress, it's in review, it's published. Boom, you can do it that way. You can also switch by looking at it in different ways. Somebody had asked me about mind maps, and I think there are some definitely interesting possibilities with that. There was a product roadmap template, and so this is cool. So this is showing you that this template has 2 databases connected with it, and then those databases can be viewed in different ways. So here's one of those where there's a project, and you can see it's got things like this, and then it has these children tasks that are going off with it. And then you've got, these are the actual tasks, and where are they? Now you've got a sort of a mix of a timeline and a Trello board, and it's all in one tool, which is really pretty cool. And you don't have to add a power up or whatever. This is all just here. But that's just it. It's sort of mind blowing for me, the different ways Notion could work. And some of these other projects, I love it. There was a personal one here for you could set it up if you wanted Notion to be your home dashboard. Then these all go to different pages, different potential ways to sort data, and it's all in one place. This could be where you start in Notion, your little personal dashboard, your business dashboard, your personal dashboard, and then it could click off into a sortable table with recipes. It could tick into a table that's about a budget, or it's a checklist that has travel plans, or it's a table that has everything you've read this year. Here's a habit track. So all of these are templates that are inside of Notion. And if you wanted to, you could have the one place you start with and then have it branch out into different connected buckets of things that you're storing. I was talking with a Mighty Powell and one-time client who's in meals and planning and cooking, and she was sorting out something that she wanted to be able to put into a course. And I'm like, oh my goodness, Notion could be the perfect deliverable for you, Linda, because you could create this meal planner and this shopping list and everything. And that's something that you give as part of your course that people could have, and it's going to go with them. It's on their phone, it's on their tablets. And that's one of the ways I got introduced to Notion, because many other coaches, course creators, people running memberships were creating their deliverables inside of this tool. I've seen tons of deliverables using Airtable, some using ClickUp, Asana, Notion. Used to be more Trello, but these seem to be the popular ones now. And it's something we're thinking about because it helps your people to take action on the things that you're giving them, because it's sorting that stuff out for them. So that's just one potential way to do this. Hey, and Linda's here watching, and so she saw me, and so yep, Linda, this one was inspired by you. This is the possibility of one of many templates that are in here, but several of them you can specifically, I think we could even search meal, and you can see there's another one down in here. And some of these templates are the ones created by the Notion team. Others are created by Notion creators, folks who can get their templates accepted by Notion. So, and oh yes, there's the AI. If you have the free account, you have a limited number of AI prompts that you can use, but it can be a really cool instance. So, I wanted to go back to one of the other versions. So this one I dropped in my own cover. I sometimes drop in these little, you can use these little icons to help figure out what you're looking at over here. And again, this one is a combination of a checklist, but then you've also see there's that link, and that one goes to another page inside of Notion, where I've been scripting out the demo videos that are going to be in the Mighty Content Creation system and membership. And you can see, oh, here's an example of a reel. So I dropped that in, and there's the link, and it embedded the Instagram post in here. So I've got one that I believe the Mighty Ideas on the Go is so that I know where to drop things in when I'm on my phone with Notion. And I clearly need to give that a better icon. In fact, let's do that right now. We're going to put an icon here so I can find it later. And we're going to give it a car icon. So there we go. Now I might be able to find that one in my list of examples and pages. Here's another cool one that I used when I was moving into Thrivecart. And so you can see this one's more Trello-y like. It's got lists, and I can drag and drop and move an item around here on whether it wasn't started. And I should probably just delete these because I didn't wind up doing whatever that event was. But the other cool thing is some of these things are nested. So you can see that's what that means. this one's nested inside of something else. It says, oh, here's its parent task. So for the question, for those who were talking about, could you mind map in Notion? I know that there are people who are selling mind map templates for Notion. You might be able to do what you want to do, Connie, with one of these other views by thinking about, okay, how do I put this in a table or a timeline, or some kind of a database, so that I can then idea, whoop, now here's the date for it, for when I'm actually going to publish that as a blog post, as a video, as a social media post. I think that's possible. There are somewhere under here, I have to fiddle around. There are ways that you can connect it to other tools. It does talk to additional tools as well. So I think it goes back to, it's a matter of what tools do you use? Are you an Asana person? Are you still a Trello person? Are you Airtable? Are you Notion? What are you going to look at doing? Because these tools only help us if we actually use them. And that's the big reason why I was moving away from Trello, because Trello was just sitting there and it existed, and my boards still exist, but I might go days, I might go weeks even, between when I was looking at anything inside of Trello. It was no longer working the way that I was working. I wasn't moving anything from left to right, from in progress to done. It was a more static. It was a library. Notion became something that was more living for me. It was one of those first things that I open. I have a tab and I open Notion, and then it's basically over here in a window by itself on my second monitor, so that if there's an idea that comes up, if I'm checking on what am I doing this week, more importantly, I have the timeline now of, there's this thing that's that I want to happen in April. So what has to happen in March? What has to happen in February? Cool. I can see that. I can check it off my to-do lists. I can see where this is the link, and I can link it to the content calendar that's also already inside of Notion, and go, yeah, this post, this email, which means I get more done. And that's the whole point, is that whatever tool helps you to get the ideas out of your head and into action in your business is a tool that works for you. So I'd love it if you drop me comments, if you're watching live or if you're watching later I see folks live, yay! Or if you caught up with this later because I only told you about it 90 minutes ago. What are you using? What do you love about it? There's already a conversation going on in the Mighty Marketing Mojo Facebook group. I'll share this video over there as well, talking about the tools that they love, because there is no one single right tool for all of this. It's what helps you to get things done, and to get things done in the simplest for you manner possible, which means you don't spend weeks trying to figure out how the tool works. I could just start typing inside of Notion and we'll go from there. Then I could use a template and go, okay, here's how this template is close enough to what I need to see. And then I learn a little bit more about how Notion is working. And I'm like, I can get it to do this. So let's do that there. That was sort of where my brain broke with ClickUp and Airtable, was that I'm like, okay, I can see how powerful they are, but Airtable was even more database based, as opposed to text based, and ClickUp is kind of a mashup of all of them. But I thought it was going to take me too long to figure out how to use it, which means it's not a useful tool. So find the tool that's going to be working for you. Give it a try. And when I say give it a try, I mean, there's a good solid 2 weeks to a month of use it. Make sure it's something that you're getting into every day. And if it's not, if your brain breaks and you find yourself, I can't even remember what the login is for ClickUp, then that's maybe not the one for you. Um, you've got to actually go and give it a good solid several weeks of daily use to figure out, does it actually fit with your daily life and your daily workflow? Or are you spending more time trying to figure out how to make the tool work for you? So right now, Notion is the tool that's helping me to get more mighty things done. Speaking of which, I need to deliver a instance of Notion, a Notion template project to the folks that are in my mighty content creation system that has their content prompts and content hooks for short viral videos and mighty viral videos inside of Notion, because I did promise that you're going to get a version of what I have. And since we still have 300 and some odd days to go in the year, if I get it to you by the end of February, you still have plenty of time to go off and use it. So I hope this gave you a little bit of an insight into how Notion may or may not work for you. And if you're interested in learning more and you want to put together that workshop that dives a little bit deeper into how to create, that content calendar, how to create, that timeline and actually figure out, okay, push this, click this here as we build a, little miniature dashboards for ourselves in Notion, let me know. Send me an email, drop me a comment in the video, and I will get working on that, because according to my plans that are inside of Notion, or should be soon, I'm looking at maybe sometime later in March to do a deeper dive, a mighty dive into Notion. So let me know if that's something that interests you, folks. So thank you for being with me for a little mighty Thursday tool tips. Mighty Pals, and a peek inside of Notion. Have a great and mighty weekend.